My boss gave my promotion to his 22-year-old nephew. I quit on the spot, but before I walked out, I activated a dead man's switch on the company servers. 3 hours later, they were locked out of a $10 million database, and my consulting fee to fix it was $50,000, paid up front. I've worked at Apex Logistics for 6 years. I started as a junior IT tech, crawling under desks to plug in Ethernet cables and resetting passwords for people who couldn't remember their own birthdays. Over half a decade, I worked my way up to senior systems architect. I didn't just maintain their network, I built it. I secured their servers against Russian botnets. I wrote the proprietary code that tracks every single package they ship across 3 continents in real time. When the director of IT, a good man named Robert who actually respected the craft, announced his retirement in October, he took me out to lunch. He looked me in the eye and said, I've recommended you to the board. The job is yours. You earned it." It was a done deal. It came with a 40% raise, a corner office with a view of the skyline, and the respect I had grinded for. The current VP of Operations, a man named Greg who wears too much cologne and thinks synergy is a personality trait, told me the promotion was locked in. "Just keep things running smooth through Q4, he said, patting me on the back with a hand that felt slimy. "We'll make it official in January. Don't worry about the paperwork. We're family here." So I did. I worked 60-hour weeks through the holiday rush. I fixed server crashes at 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve while my family was opening presents without me. I missed my own birthday dinner to patch a critical security vulnerability that would have exposed our entire client list. I kept the ship afloat while Greg took 3 weeks of PTO in Aspen, posting photos of his ski trips while I was eating vending machine sandwiches in the server room. This morning was the day, January 5th, the first Monday of the new year. I walked into the office at 7:45 a.m. wearing my best charcoal suit, a fresh tie, and a feeling of accomplishment I hadn't felt in years. I was ready to sign the paperwork. I was ready to lead. I grabbed a coffee from the break room, said good morning to the reception staff, and headed toward the director's office, my new office. The door was open. Sitting in my chair, was a kid. He looked about 22. He was wearing a hoodie with a graphic print, ripped jeans, and he had his feet up on the mahogany desk. He was spinning a fidget spinner in one hand and scrolling through TikTok with the other. The blinds were drawn, making the room look like a cave. I stopped in the doorway, confused. "Can I help you?" The kid looked up, bored. He didn't take his feet off the desk. "Oh hey, I'm Tyler, the new director." My stomach dropped. It felt like I had swallowed a stone. Tyler. I knew that name. Tyler was Greg's nephew, the one who had dropped out of business school last semester because it was too theoretical and didn't vibe with his energy. "Director of what?" I asked, my voice tight, my hands clenching into fists at my sides. Tyler said, popping a piece of gum. "My Uncle Greg said I'm taking over. He said you're the guy who's gonna train me. Cool setup you got here, but the Wi-Fi is kind of laggy. Can we boost the gigaflops or whatever?" I turned around without a word. I walked straight to Greg's office. Greg was there, unpacking a new golf putter, practicing his swing on the office carpet. He looked up, beaming. Good morning, Happy New Year." "Greg," I said, ignoring the pleasantries, "why is your nephew in the director's office?" Greg didn't even look guilty. He smiled that oily corporate smile. Yes, slight change of plans. The board and I were talking over the break and we decided we need fresh eyes, younger energy. Tyler is a digital native. He understands the modern landscape. He's going to bring a new perspective to the department." "He's a dropout, Greg," I said, my voice rising. "He asked me to boost the gigaflops. I built this infrastructure from scratch. You promised me the job. Robert recommended me." "Promises are not contracts," Greg shrugged, returning to his pudding practice. "Look, you're valuable where you are. We need you in the trenches. You're a technical guy, You don't want to be bogged down with management. You'll stay in your cubicle, keep doing the heavy lifting, and train Tyler on the basics. Show him the ropes. If he succeeds and if the numbers look good, maybe we can discuss a retention bonus next year. A small one. Train him, I repeated, disbelief washing over me. You want me to train the guy you hired over me for the job I earned, while I stay in a cubicle doing the actual work? That's the job, Greg said, his voice hardening. The smile dropped. Take it or leave it. But remember, the non-compete you signed means you can't work in this city for a year. If you walk, you're unemployed. So be a team player, go back to your desk and show Tyler how to log in. I want him up to speed by lunch. I stared at him. The disrespect was palpable. It tasted like bile. He thought he owned me. He thought I had no choice. Okay, I said softly. I understand. Good man, Greg said, turning back to his putter. I knew you'd see reason. I walked out. I didn't go to Tyler. I went to my cubicle. I sat down at my computer. I wasn't angry anymore. I was cold. I was precise. I was an architect looking at a building I had designed, knowing exactly where the load-bearing walls were. I opened the terminal. Years ago, after a massive ransomware scare that nearly bankrupted our competitor, I had implemented a fail-safe. It was a rolling encryption protocol for the main client database. It required a manual handshake from my specific admin account every 24 hours to keep the encryption keys active. If the handshake didn't happen, the system assumed the admin was compromised, kidnapped, or missing. It would lock down. It would encrypt the entire database with a 4096-bit key that only I possessed. It was a dead man switch. It was designed to protect the company from external threats. But today, the threat was internal. I checked the timer. The next handshake was due at 10 a.m. I didn't initiate it. Instead, I went into the system and revoked my own admin access. I wiped my local machine of all personal data. I printed my resignation letter. To Greg, last name. From Up. Subject, resignation effective immediately. Due to the breach of verbal contract regarding my role in the hostile work environment, I am resigning effective 8:30 a.m. today. I have returned my badge to security. Good luck with the fresh eyes. I hit send. I stood up. I put my personal items in my bag, a photo of my wife, my lucky mug, a stress ball. I walked past the director's office. Tyler was watching a YouTube video on how to manage IT teams at full volume. I walked out of the building. I handed my badge to the security guard, Carl. You heading out early? Carl asked. I'm heading out forever, Carl, I said. Take care of yourself. I got in my car. I drove home. It was 9 a.m. I made a pot of coffee. I sat on my couch. I waited. At 10 a.m., the dead man switch triggered. I wasn't there to see it, but I know exactly what happened. The database, which holds the shipping manifests, the client billing info, the inventory logs, and the tracking numbers for $3 million of freight moving daily, would have frozen. The screens in the warehouse would have gone black. The scanners would have beeped a critical error code. The trucks at the loading bay would have been unable to leave because the gate system is tied to the manifest server. Error key expred, database locked, contact administrator. At 10:15 a.m. my phone rang. It was Greg. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately, and again, and again. At 10:30 a.m. I got a text. Greg, pick up the phone. The system is down. Greg, Tyler says it's a virus. Fix it. Greg, op, answer me. We are losing money. I sipped my coffee. I watched a bird land on my feeder. It was a peaceful morning. I turned on the TV. I watched a cooking show. At 11 a.m., I finally answered. Hello. What did you do? Greg screamed. His voice was cracking, high-pitched with panic. I could hear chaos in the background, phones ringing, people shouting. The database is encrypted. It's asking for a key. The trucks can't leave the dock. We are losing thousands by the minute. Amazon is on line 1 screaming at me. I didn't do anything, Greg, I said calmly. I resigned, remember. I'm not an employee. You sabotaged us, he yelled. Tyler tried to optimize the server and it locked him out. You set a trap. You planted a logic bomb. I didn't set a trap, I said. And I didn't plant a bomb. Tyler tried to optimize a system he doesn't understand. The encryption is a standard security protocol. It requires a daily handshake from a qualified administrator. Since you fired the qualified administrator, or rather, forced him to resign, and hired a dropout who thinks Wi-Fi has gigaflops, the system did exactly what it was designed to do: protect the data from unauthorized users. It thinks Tyler is a hacker, which honestly isn't far off. Give me the key, Greg demanded. Give it to me right now or I will sue you for everything you own. I will have you arrested for cyberterrorism. I know people I will bury you. I can't give you the key, Greg, I said. That would be a security violation. I am not an employee. Providing access codes to unauthorized personnel is a breach of compliance. I am a civilian. I'll rehire you, he pleaded, changing tactics instantly. Just come in, we'll talk about the raise, we'll talk about the bonus. Forget Tyler, I'll fire him, just come back. No thanks, I said. The bridge is burned, Greg, you made that very clear. Tools stay in the box, remember. I don't want to work for Apex anymore. Fine, I'll hire your business, just fix it, name your price. My consulting rate is $50,000, I said. Silence. What? $50,000, I repeated, for a one-time emergency consultation, payable upfront via wire transfer. Once the money clears, I send the key and instructions on how to disable the protocol. You're insane, Greg hissed. I'm not paying you 50 grand, that's extortion. I'll call the police. I'll get a subpoena. Go ahead, I said. A subpoena takes weeks. How much money will you lose in weeks? How many clients will leave? Amazon is your biggest contract, right? Do you think they'll wait weeks for their shipments? Do you think the board will keep you around when they find out you lost the Amazon contract because you hired your nephew? I heard him breathing heavily on the other end. He was trapped. I'm calling the owner, he said. Mr. Sterling will destroy you. He's going to put you in jail. Call him, I said. Tell him exactly what happened. Tell him you hired Tyler. Tell him you pushed out the only guy who knew the encryption protocols. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear about your fresh eyes strategy. I hung up. I waited. At 12:30 p.m. my phone rang again. It wasn't Greg. It was a number I recognized. Mr. Sterling, the owner, the billionaire who built the company from a single truck. He was a tough man, but he was fair. He rarely got involved in the day-to-day, but a total system collapse tends to get attention. I answered, "Hello, Mr. Sterling." Sterling's voice was deep and calm, but with an undercurrent of steel. Greg tells me you hacked our system and are holding it for ransom. He says you planted a virus before you quit. Greg is lying, sir, I said. I didn't hack anything. I resigned this morning because Greg gave my promotion to his nephew, Tyler, who has zero experience and dropped out of college. The system locked down automatically because there was no qualified admin to verify the security handshake. It's a fail-safe I installed years ago to protect your data from exactly this kind of situation: unauthorized access by unqualified personnel. And the $50,000, Sterling asked. That is my consulting fee, I said. I am no longer an employee. I am an independent contractor. Emergency services come at a premium. And frankly, sir, it's a tax on Greg's incompetence. Greg says Tyler can fix it, Sterling said. He says Tyler just needs the password. Sir, I laughed. Tyler asked me why the Wi-Fi was laggy. He doesn't know what a Linux kernel is. If he touches that server again, he might wipe the data permanently. The encryption is 4096-bit. Without the key, it would take a supercomputer 1,000 years to crack it. Do you want to take that risk? Sterling paused. He was a businessman. He knew leverage when he saw it. He knew the cost of downtime. He knew that every minute the truck sat idle, he was bleeding cash. "Send me the chat logs," Sterling said. "Proof that Greg refused to pay you and proof that Tyler broke it." I screenshotted the text from Greg. I sent the server logs showing Tyler's clumsy login attempts at 10:05 a.m., which triggered the final lockdown. I sent them to Sterling's personal email. 2 minutes later, Sterling spoke again. "I received them, you're right. Greg is an idiot. He hired a child to run a battleship." "Thank you, sir." "If I wire the money," Sterling said, "will the system be up in an hour?" "In 10 minutes, I promised. I can decrypt it remotely once I log in as a consultant." "Send the wiring instructions." I emailed him my bank details. 10 minutes later, my banking app pinged. "Incoming wire, 50,000 Apex Logistics." "Payment received," I said. I emailed Sterling the encryption key and the instructions on how to enter it. I walked him through it over the phone. "Go to the admin terminal," I said. "Type in the sequence. Yes, now enter the key." I heard typing. Then a beep. "It's turning green," Sterling said. "The dashboard is coming back up." "You're back online, sir." "Thank you, Op," Sterling said. "You're a good man. I'm sorry about this. I shouldn't have let Greg run this department unchecked." "It's business, sir." "Indeed, stay by your phone. I might have a proposition for you later." He hung up. I watched the clock. At 1:15 p.m. I got a text from an old coworker in the office, Sarah from HR. "Sarah, systems are back up. Also, security just walked Greg and Tyler out of the building. They were carrying boxes. Greg was crying. Sterling is here. He looks like he's going to kill someone." I smiled. 2 days later, Sterling called me back. He offered me the director job. He offered me Greg's old salary, $180,000 a year. He offered to fire anyone else I wanted gone. I thought about it. I thought about the 3 a.m. calls. I thought about the stress. I thought about how easy it was for them to try and replace me. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Sterling," I said, "but I think I'm going to stick to consulting. I used the seed money to start my own firm. I realized I like being my own boss." "Fair enough," Sterling said. "We need an external IT provider, someone we trust, someone who knows where the bodies are buried. Are you taking clients?" "I am," I said, "but my rates are high." "Send me a contract." 6 months later, my new IT firm has 5 employees. Apex Logistics is our biggest client. We charge them a monthly retainer of $15,000 to manage their systems remotely. We also handle their security audits. I don't work 60-hour weeks anymore. I don't miss birthdays. I bought a boat with the consulting fee. And Greg, last I heard, he's managing a car wash in New Jersey. Tyler is back in his mom's basement, streaming Fortnite to 12 viewers. They thought I was just a cog in the machine. They forgot that I was the one who built the engine. And when you take the engine out, the car doesn't drive. So, dear viewers, was I wrong for charging them the stupidity tax? If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.